Declan, welcome. It's a new season on the horizon. Before I look forward into the season, I want to look back into last season and probably starting on a bit of a negative note, but it all sort of went sour for us after that Bangor game. What would you put that down to?
So I think there was a lack of confidence at that time. I think that game really really affected us. But I think a huge factor in our season last year was James Singleton getting injured. We didn't have the strength and depth to cope with that. I also feel that we weren't prolific enough last year. I think that was part of the problem. I thought we created so many opportunities in certain games, and we just didn't have the finesse and final touch to get across the line. I think the signings this year have strengthened those areas in the pitch that I felt that needs strengthened. But again, without making excuses, it simply wasn't good enough. They run at the end of the season. But at the same time, there was a lot of factors in terms of people looking at maybe generating moves for themselves. And that was something that, in reflection, it was probably something that was a negative for us trying to finish the season on a real high. But again, the turnover of players and the way the season panned out, it's something that we have to learn from and bring into this season a more ruthless approach to winning football matches and learn from the mistakes that we made last year. And I think the signings that we've made in this window have been really positive. We didn't score enough goals last year. That's the reality. Our consistency was up and down. And as you say, the end of the season was really disappointing. But at the same time, I know there's more to come from this group. I think the players that we've brought to the club, have given us real experience. And they've also, in their previous clubs, won a lot of trophies. So we're hoping that'll really kickstart us as well for this year.
You mentioned there about the players maybe trying to engineer moves or things like that. The signings you made this summer are on multi-year contracts. How big do you think that is? It shows trust in what you're doing.
Well, it's huge because I've said this before. I found it extremely hard to attract players to the club 12 months ago. For one reason or the other, players weren't sure that the professionalism here was the way they wanted it. But I think the club have invested heavily in the professional structures of this football club over the last 18 months. And when we met players in this window, they were very keen to come. So in the course of the last 12 months, there's been a change in terms of players outside looking in and seeing what we're trying to do. You don't attract players like Pat Hogan to the football club if you're not doing things right. He is big into doing things right, and rightly so. He's had a magnificent career to this point. But he's not coming here to put his feet up and sort out early retirement. He's coming here to win. He wants to win things, and that's the type of mentality that we want. Jordan Stewart has won 4 or 5 league titles. Liam Burt has won the last 2 League of Ireland titles. As I say, Pat has 4 league titles under his belt and a few FA Cups. Daniel Larmour has 2 Irish Cups under his belt and played 10 games in Europe. So there's a lot of experience coming under the group. But the pleasing aspect for me, as I say, is they want to come out their long-term future here. And they also see this as a club that can bring them collectively and individually success.
You've got a year and then some under your belt now at the Glens, and there's been a lot of changes around the Oval, not just with the playing staff, but just in general. What maybe changes have you implemented, or what changes has there been around here that fans maybe don't see?
The working week. The players work. We're on at 9 o'clock every morning. They sometimes have 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The nutritional side, the amount of hours on a training pitch is something that we continue to strive to improve. The togetherness of the group, the identity of the group, knowing what this club means and being around, and just the professionalism of the football club at the minute is, in my opinion, as good as anywhere in the country. And that's something we have to continue to build. If we want to continue to attract the best players, then it's so important that the infrastructure and the daily running of the football club is on a very high level, and that's where I feel we're at the moment.
We had 3 players in the Football Writers Team of the Year last year, and all 3 are gone now. How disappointed are you? I mean, some of them moved on. They maybe got better offers elsewhere, or Dan's example, you just wanted to go home. But what around the three of them, how do you feel?
I'm looking forward to this year. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting another three under the team at the end of this season. I'm delighted, as I say, that we have two outstanding goalkeepers again. Like 𝘠𝘠𝘪𝘵 was very unfortunate last year that Dan's performances were on such a high level, because he's a top class goalkeeper himself, and bringing back Peter in from 𝘛𝘸𝘀 will really add that competition for places there. I think when you bring Daniel Larmour to the club, he's as good a centre back as there is in Irish League football, so I'm really happy with that. And you know, some of the midfield players that we've brought to the club to replace some of the people that have left, I'm really happy with. So all in all, wish the players that were here last year every success, but not really my concern now. I'm more focused on what we have in the building and how we can all gel quickly and bring success.
The likes of 𝘍𝘢𝘬𝘦, obviously you haven't replaced him like for like. You know, you've gone for a more attacking outlook this season. Was that a conscious decision that you thought you would needed more players with that mindset?
I just think that we didn't get enough goals, we didn't enough creativity, and this is not down to one or two individuals. I think it was, you know, we had to be better. We missed Josh Kelly and we missed James Singleton last year for long periods. Josh the full season, Singy for half a season nearly. So you know, having those two, they step under that holding midfield role is two outstanding players. As I say, when you have attacking player then of 𝘠𝘠𝘪𝘵 and Jordan Stewart, and you fill in around that with your Joe Thompsons and the likes of Charlie Lindsay, James Douglas, you know, a lot of 𝘠𝑚𝑦 Palmer, a lot of quality players in midfield. So there's serious competition. If you play with two holding midfielders, you play with three, it doesn't matter. That you've got to make sure you perform, because at the end of the day, there's a real talented player waiting to take your turn and take your shirt, and that's what we need. We need real competition for places, and I think we have that now right throughout the squad.
It's been a summer of big decisions, and your job isn't always to make the popular decision, but how difficult is it to avoid being swayed? You know, what fans are going to think, or what outside noise is going to think, letting a player go, or even bringing a player in?
I said I have to work in what I believe, right? I've been doing this. I've been a manager for 12 years. I've been an assistant manager for 12 years before that. I finished up playing early. I've had huge experience in professional football. I can only go off what my gut is. I don't fall out with people. I'm not really interested in making people happy. I have to do what's best for this football club, and I will always make judgments on that. I don't just go off a woman of prayer. I speak to people I respect highly in the game, and I have a way that I want this football club to emerge and grow. And if we can continue to do that, I have no doubt we can have success in the future. But the one thing you'll not get from me is someone that's afraid to make a decision.
And just on that then, fans are obviously asking questions. For example, when you were bringing in Jordan Stewart to the club, that was creating a lot of noise from fans, just with Jordan's playing history. What was it that attracted you to bring Jordan to this club, back to the club where it all started for him?
Because he knows that he has an opportunity of being successful here. That's what I really liked when I met him and I spoke to him, and what he wanted to do at this stage of his career. It was really appealing to me. And look, Jordan has stated it himself, he's got a lot to prove, he's got to win people over. But I have no doubt that he has the character, the temperament and the ability to do that. I've been so impressed by his attitude and his commitment over pre-season. And look, tell me somebody that doesn't make a mistake, and you know, everybody can make mistakes. The bottom line for Jordan was he went and won 4 or 5 league titles, but he sees his future here and he wants to win, and that's what I really like about him.
And then the other one was a departure. It was Harry Murphy, letting Harry go. It must have been a tough decision. He did a successful loan spell at Glenavon. What was the sort of...
Harry's a good player, he's a quality player, real good lad. I just felt when Daniel Larmour became available, we needed experienced. We've got Frankie Foot at 19 years of age, and we had Harry Murphy at 21 years of age. When Murph went out, he didn't become a free option for us now as a homegrown player. So I know his dad and I know Harry a long time, but it's a decision I felt needed to be made. Wish him every success, but you know, we've got to believe in what we're trying to build here, and you know, we're a really talented young 19-year-old centre back. I felt we needed a right-sided centre back with more experience, and I felt Larmour gives us that, and I've been really impressed by him also since he's come under the building in terms of his appetite to do well.
And one of your incumbents, Pat Hogan, an absolutely top quality player. I think people are really fixated on Pat's age, but they forget that 8 months ago, this was the top scorer in the League of Ireland. It must be a real coup for you to get him.
And that's I've known Pat for a long time. I've been setting teams up against him, and he's consistently broke my heart because of the way he plays and his. But the pleasing thing for me is everybody that knows Pat knows what his mentality is. It's not just about getting out on a Saturday. He wants things done properly. He has an aura about him that, you know, a lot of our centre forwards and a lot of our young players can learn a lot from. He's been a consistent winner right throughout his career. But again, when we sat down and we met Pat didn't want to go to a club that wasn't going to challenge for trophies, and one of the aspects of giving us a heads up in a lot of clubs was he sees that we have an opportunity here over the coming years to really be successful, and he's not coming here to put his feet up by any stretch. He's coming here, made a big commitment, and delighted to have him, because as I say, I think if you look through top centre forwards in the last number of years, there's certainly one name up the top of that list, and that would be Pat Hogan.
Talk me through the transfer process at Glentoran, because it's something that's received, again, a lot of question marks from fans, and this is obviously a different regime. Is it you who signs the players at Glentoran? Do you sit down with your staff and you pick them? It's all in your hands?
Absolutely, 100%. I wouldn't do it any other way.
And it's basically, so for example, you went and picked up Frankie Vid last year at one of those games over in England and things like that, so you're scouting players all the time? Constantly
scouting and looking to improve. And it'll be, the minute this transfer window shuts, we'll be looking at the next one as well to make sure we continue to build. You don't have any divine right just to waltz onto a building and then just say, right, well, we're going to sign 16, 17 players over the last 18 months and that'll do us. We have to keep building. We have to keep being successful. We have to keep looking to improve. And the players that's here have to keep improving. I have to keep improving. And everybody pulling in the one direction and making sure on a daily basis you're getting better. Because the nature of football is there's somebody waiting to take your job, whether that's my job, whether it's a midfielder, a forward, a goalkeeper, or a defender. There's always somebody out there looking to take your spot, and as a football club, that's the way we have to work.
Our academy gets a lot of attention, whether it's players moving over to England from a young age, breaking into the first team, or the brilliant 𝘧𝘂𝘓 Cup success. How important is it to get those young players this year tied down on pro deals? It's
massive. I met a lot of the academy staff. We've constantly in contact. I had them on, showing them how we go about things. I met the parents of the academy, a lot of parents from the academy as well, and told them about how difficult it is to break through into professional football. We've had 37 players in the last, I think it's 9 years, go to England through our academy. Now, a lot of them still aren't there. They've came back and they're playing Irish League, but that's a huge turnover of players, and that shows you the work that's getting done at the football club. We also have now handed out contracts to a lot of young players, but the reality is they have to be better than what's here. You're not getting it because you've been here. You gotta be, as I say, when you're handed a shirt for Glentoran to go out and play a first team game, you've got to be ready. You've got to grasp that opportunity. We're not just bringing young players through for the sake of it. We see a lot of talent in our young players, but it's time now to show and prove that you can play at this level consistently and not just be a good training pitch player. I think we've a lot of talent within our academy, and I've been really impressed by a lot of the young players in pre-season, but it's also a big step up now when it comes to the nitty-gritty of winning points every week, and we have to make sure that the players are ready, but they're also continuing to improve on a daily basis.
And we've really used the loan system to our advantage. For example, Johnny Russell goes to Dundalk, comes back, wins Player of the Year. Jordan Jenkins goes to Dundalk, comes back, top goal scorer. Can we expect to maybe see a couple of those young players going?
Probably, but at the minute, obviously with the suspensions we have, with Dylan and Christie and Joe Thompson on my Saturday and Gary Palmer on my Saturday. So again, there might be a bit of movement before the window closes. But again, as I say, look, there's a lot of people ringing up for some of our young players, but first and foremost, we do what's best for the first team and the club and the player. And if that chance and the club match the ambitions that our club have here for the young player, then it might be something we look at. But at the minute, it's everybody's pulling in the one direction here and trying to, and that's from the youngest player to the oldest player. trying to stake that claim for the first game of the season.
Last season we've seen you deploy a couple of formations. We started with the 5 or the 3 at the back and 2 strikers, and then we sort of went into a 4-3-3. The 4-3-3 is something that we've seen common in the Irish League. The other formations not so much, although Lauren did win the league playing that way. For you, what are the advantages of playing with the 2 strikers and the wing backs?
Well, I think whenever you have a left back that had 20 assists, I'm nearly sure, 18, 19, 20 assists last year, and you bring an attacking right back on from that has played predominantly League 1, League 2 in England, and they've got real good quality. They put balls under the box, and when you have 2 strikers in the box, it gives you a real opportunity. But look, there'll be different tactical changes this year, because I think we have the players that can give us a variation in our tactics this year. We can play a 4, we can play a 3. There's a lot of variations this year. With 7 midfield players that can all fit into different positions. We are lacking wingers at the minute because Christie and Dylan are suspended, but we've got abundance of quality in the wide areas as well. That you see Johnny Russell, Danny Amos, Aaron Whiteman, Ryan Cooney, young Jude Johnson has really emerged in pre-season as well. So we have a lot of players that can play a couple of different positions. A few times last year, Danny Amos played a bit higher and Johnny Russell played at left back. So we have serious competition for places, and it doesn't matter if you play a 3-5-2 or 4-3-3. Good players win matches. Tactics are it's getting the right players on the pitch at the right time, give you an opportunity to win games.
What would you consider to be a successful season for Glentoran this season?
Won the league. It always has to be one in the league. Miles off top last year. Our inconsistency last year, right throughout the league, a lot of teams were very inconsistent last year. We have to not look too far ahead. We have to treat one game at a time, because we have no dead fine right for me to sit here and say that we're going to win this and we're going to win that. But we have to show respect to the league, we have to show respect to the club, and we have to make sure that when we cross that white line, that we have the bottle and the courage and the mental courage to go out there and perform.
And if we're sitting here in 2 years' time with you at the helm, what would you consider to have been a success in that period of time? What does a club look like then? I'm not talking new stadium or anything like that. Things you have to
listen, for me, we have got to aim to be in the group stages of Europe. How you get there is by winning leagues and winning cups and being consistent on a daily basis. I think this club is going in the right direction. I think we have to make sure that we don't get too carried away and don't dream, but we have to put the hard miles on. We have to put the hard work on. We have to get our structures right underneath the team, and making sure that everybody's pulling in one direction. Players have a real desire to be successful here, that we're the most professional, well organised outfit in the country. But that's going to be very difficult. You can't just hit that magic switch and hope that everything's going to be okay. Bringing good players to the football club, bringing good attitudes on a daily basis to training, and bringing a high work ethic, I'll give you a chance of making that next step.
We've seen a glimpse of what our supporters are going to be like during that long unbeaten run, everyone putting in the same direction, and the players got a taste of that winning the countdown to Shield. But for you as manager, what would it mean to you to be the person to bring success back to this club?
I mean everything. I'm very committed to my job. I'm very committed to giving everything of myself. I'm working very long hours, doing a lot of travelling, but ultimately I'm here to try and make sure that I leave the football club in a better place than what I inherited, and that's my job. I will give everything that I have in my body to get this club back to where it belongs. You need a bit of luck, you need good people around you, you need everybody fighting for the same thing, but I have no doubt that we're on the right track. But at the same time, there's no guarantees, as I well know in football, there's no guarantees, but it would mean everything to bring success back here. And I love coming to work every day. I love working with this group of players, but we have to make sure that we stay level-headed, we stay grounded, and not just keep talking about one of the things, but actually go and treat the next game as the most important game of our lives, and give everything. In the short-term goals is just winning the next game and being hard to beat. Last year we dropped far too many points against teams that I felt we were better than. So we have to learn from our mistakes and move forward very quickly.
you're definitely a motivator, and you've done plenty to try and get that extra 1% out of players. But this is your chance now to motivate the supporters who are going to be watching this. And what would you have to say to them?
I think just come and really get behind us, because at the end of the day, when this place, it shakes. You're standing that dugout out there when the crowd are singing and they're really getting behind the team, and it's an incredible atmosphere, and it's something that, you know, I see the joy that the young people, the young fans they're standing out queuing up for autographs of our players again outside the tunnel here in the change room on a daily basis. They're going to get photographs taken with these new heroes, these new players. I just want them to come and really help us, because last year, when I first came on, there was I keep saying this, there wasn't a real good togetherness. It was far from togetherness. There was a resentment, and this football club needs everybody. It needs the supporters. Supporters need to be entertained. The players have a big responsibility. I have a huge responsibility in terms of making sure that our punters and our supporters that come in here have an incredible experience when they do come in. Look, there's going to be highs and lows right throughout this year, but just get behind the team. Get behind the team, and let's go on a journey where we're all hoping and working to bring success back to the football club, because when everybody is pulling in the one direction, it certainly gives us a hell of a chance to be successful again.
Declan, thanks very much.
Gentlemen,
good luck.
Thank you, bud. Top man.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.